Hey, my name is John Blay, and I am a content creator based in Greater Los Angeles. I travel around, I do a lot of photography, but in 2022, I really transitioned from photography over to more videography and video content. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. This is going to be my 2022 year in review, and my goal is to just go over some of the things that I did, some of my accomplishments, some of my failures, and some memories, because I want to watch this video in 10 years, 15 years, and look back and think, wow, that's what I did in 2022. So maybe this is for you. Maybe you're a content creator, videographer, photographer, and I am happy you're here. But I definitely am making this video for me too, as kind of a little timestamp to see how much I've grown. And then in 10 years, I can look back and be like, whoa, this is how much I've grown from that as well. Favorite piece of gear that I got in 2022 was definitely my Canon R6. I bought that like in early January, so it's been about a year since then, and it was my favorite thing about 2022. I started using it to record my reels and short videos, mostly posted on Instagram though, and it's a powerhouse. I'm using it right now. I love being able to focus on eyes, like eye tracking with my video. I love shooting in 4K. I haven't actually messed around with shooting in higher frame rates yet, but I'll probably do that in the future. But yeah, definitely my favorite piece of gear that I picked up this year, and most expensive. The lens I favored the most this year, definitely the one I'm using right now. It's a 17-40 4.0, and it's a great lens, but it has some limitations. I usually use this to make my reels because it's kind of got that wide angle fisheye type view to it, and you might be able to see it right now. It's got my whole office in it, and I love that. So I use it a lot so that I can have really wide angle shots in kind of a small space. I usually use it on 35 millimeters actually, because I know that that look just looks clean. And if I were to get another lens, maybe I should just get a 35 millimeter. That kind of would make my process a little bit simpler, but at the same time, I love how versatile this lens is, and I just use it for so many different things, especially when I'm going out shooting. I like that I can go from the wide angle and then zoom in a bit and be at 40 millimeters. Oh yeah, I did want to mention that if I could have a 24-70 millimeter lens, the 2.8, that's like my dream lens right now. So when I get a new lens, that will be the next one I buy, except maybe that 35 millimeter. Too many lenses. Growth on Instagram. So I don't fully know what I had like starting in January of 2022, but I know that I hit 10,000 followers on Instagram in November, the end of November of 2021. And between then and the end of 2022, I reached 15.9 thousand followers on Instagram. So I gained about 6,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty crazy. But I will say, going into 2022, I thought like, wow, I could really blow up this year. And I don't talk about this very much, so I might as well get into it. When I was finishing out 2021, I was excited. I had grown to 10,000 followers almost overnight, it felt like. I was making reels. I posted over 70 reels in a month, and I was just like going for it, but I got burnt out. And what happened was people started saying like, oh, you're going to hit 15K by this time. You're going to hit 20K by this time. And I started kind of believing them. And that was probably the biggest mistake. I started kind of using those numbers to say that I was doing a good job, or to say that I was worthy of something more. And that kind of just burnt me out and made me feel like, well, if the numbers aren't there, then I'm not very good at what I do. And I had to wrestle with that idea. I actually took a huge break in the early months of 2022, and I felt like I needed to step back and kind of rethink why I was doing it and what the purpose was behind it. And I came to a really good place after I took that time. But yeah, it was funny because at the end of 2021, people were like, you're going to hit 15K by 2022. And here I am, it's 2023, and I'm at about 15.7 thousand followers. And I've never been more happy with the followers that I do have. People who engage and people who are part of this community that I have, I feel so lucky to have those people. And I've literally just stopped reaching to grow follower accounts. I'm just trying to grow myself, and I'm trying to just be true to who I am and who I want to be online. And like, I couldn't be in a better place. You know, I'm happy that I kind of had to go through that struggle and that process, because at the end of it all, I'm in a much better place with it, and I'm doing it because I love it. And I got back to that place, and I think people could tell. It was an interesting process, and I feel like I am much better at my craft, but the numbers, I could care less. No, people say that phrase wrong all the time. I couldn't care less. That's it. My biggest accomplishment last year, I talked about this a bit on my Instagram, but I got to be a director of photography for a short film last year. It's called Remembrance, and it hasn't come out fully yet, but it was an incredible experience. And most of my time as a creator has been trying to learn how to do good lighting, you know, and I'm proud of how far I've come, but I got to use that in a film setting, and it was incredible just to be able to learn from people who are really into film. And then I was the videographer. I was the guy in charge of getting all the video, and that took a lot of patience. We spent 4 or 5 weekends, multiple days, staying up late, and I learned so much. And seeing the finished product and seeing my name up there on the screen at the end of it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It was a really incredible experience. But yeah, Remembrance, I will be posting about it soon. It's a sci-fi thriller. I just learned a lot, so I'm really proud of that piece of work. I had a lot of videos last year, and they were all different, and that's because I'm still just figuring out what I want to do. You know, do I want to do tech stuff? Do I want to do drone video with my camera? Do I want to make short films? So it was a huge process, but my favorite video from last year was the Top Gun video that I made. Definitely. I made a little video with my buddy Alex Ramirez. We went over to the Wedge in Newport Beach, and we made this kind of spoof on Top Gun Maverick. People told me so many times last year that I looked like Rooster, and so I just had to do something about it, and we made this funny drone spoof on Top Gun. I had a blast making that, and it was one of my first reels that I actually wrote out a list of shots. Like, I've never done a shot list until that video, so I was really proud of that fact too, because it came together perfectly, and I had to mash up 3 different songs that I thought worked together perfectly, but I used them from clips in the movies. So really proud of that reel. Well, there weren't many. I think there were like 6. And I did say I would make YouTube videos last year, and I did, but I just wasn't very consistent. So that's the goal this year. I'm going to try to make 1 a month, and then hopefully more than that. I'm just going to try and make something consistently. But last year, my favorite one was probably the Newport vlog. And I just made this little vlog of my friends going to Newport. And then I decided that day, what if I kind of turned it into a short film? Just a little short idea where people were coming together and flying their drones in Newport. And I had a lot of fun with that. That or the short Colorado video that I made. My sister lives in Colorado, and I got to go out and visit them with my wife, and I just made a little video from the day. It was really fun, and I love being able to go back and watch these videos and be like, that was a good memory, and just being able to see it visually. Most popular reel of 2022, that one's easy to remember because it's way more than I had ever gotten before, and I think that's due to the fact that I got to collaborate with Evan Brandt, which if you follow me, you probably follow Evan because we're so similar in a lot of ways. But we got to make a video where I'm shooting with my little camera I have up here. I have a film camera, and then he comes in there with his shutter and just holds down the button and just doesn't care about how many photos he takes as a digital photographer. But yeah, I have followed Evan for a very long time. I actually got to watch him kind of blow up, and it was really cool because we got to chat. We got to be on a phone call, like FaceTiming for like an hour, just spouting out ideas, and it was really amazing to see the way that he creates. I just look up to him a lot, so it was really fun to be able to work with him, and I'm really proud of that one. And then it ended up doing really well, so good for that. That's always a bonus. How much did I post on Instagram last year? 147 reels. That's how many I counted, and I might have hit a couple. I don't know. Sometimes I do that. But yeah, that's a lot. I was posting multiple times a week. That's about 3 times a week. And I posted photos at random as well, but I didn't count those. 2022 was the year of the reel. Reels had been introduced in 2021, which is when I hopped on that. But then last year I really was trying to hone my video skills. So 147, that's kind of crazy to look at that number. And I'm proud of it. Those aren't just reels. They're not just videos. Those are a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of time. And it's cool to be able to go back and be proud of all of those videos because I put a lot of effort in when I made them and I got to share them. So I'm really happy with that number. So what were my struggles last year? As a creator, I kind of mentioned that idea of numbers. And I think, just to be honest with you guys and with myself, I did struggle with the fact that I wasn't growing for a while. I was actually losing followers for a while. And, for somebody in this field, this business, it's called technically, that can be really discouraging. So I struggle with that for a bit. For the average user, it's not really a big deal if you don't have a lot of followers or if you're not gaining or growing. But sometimes as a creator, we can equate not gaining followers with not growing. So I struggle with that, but I hit 15,000 followers last year, and that was a huge accomplishment, and I felt really proud of that. And I also was proud of how far I came, with my mental health, just being able to be like, it's okay. I don't really need to worry about that. I'm glad that I'm focusing on how I'm growing as a person, as a creator. I'm in a super healthy place now. I'm not messing with you. I'm not lying to myself. That's totally true. That was a huge struggle. And mixed with that was a bit of burnout. As much as I tried, I really did begin to burn out last year and a little bit in 2021. And then it just lasted for months. This feeling of not wanting to create anything, of not wanting to see the same things or see any trends or do any trends or create. And I know that there are people out there who feel that a lot. It hit me pretty hard. I was creating so much and I had a full-time job, and I still do. I just felt like I needed a break, and I took it. I had friends who kind of stayed with me along the way and encouraged me. But yeah, that was definitely a setback. I'm kind of glad that happened because I was able to gain some new perspective. And if I face it again, I'll know how to handle it. I'll know what limits I can put into place or how I can, recoup and get more energy. I've learned a lot from that process. Motivation is another word I wanted to focus on because there were times when I just didn't want to create anything. I would come into this room and I would think, all right, let's get to it. And I would just sit here. Sometimes I'd even end up on my phone. Man, that's devastating when you do that. When you want to make something, but then you just end up consuming. I felt that need to make something, and sometimes I would just sit here. I'm glad that I have made it past that point because I've seen a lot about motivation recently, and people have kind of said that motivation is one thing, but consistency is another. You can step up and do something and be disciplined, even if you don't feel the motivation. I think that's kind of half true. I think if you don't feel motivated to do something, you could get yourself to do it anyways. Maybe it'll be good for you, but maybe it might make things worse. So you should probably look into that motivation and why you feel like doing that thing. And I'm a processor, so I believe that you should probably process that feeling and kind of get to the root of it before you start making any decisions to do anything. So 2023, what I want to do. I want to read more. I know that's not exactly a content creation goal, but I set a goal to read 25 books, and I want to read different types of books this year. So I'm definitely going to try and focus on reading some books related to business and creation, if they're out there. I haven't really looked, but I hope to incorporate those books. And honestly, I just love fiction, so I'm probably going to try and read some more fiction novels. Storytelling is why I do what I do. You know, now that I have the ability to make videos, I want to tell more stories. My story, others' stories, stories I come up with in my head, or stories that I read in a book. So it makes sense that I want to read more. I want to post one YouTube video a month, and I made that goal at the beginning of the year. And here I am doing my first one. But I also want to get better at making these long form videos. I want to get better at editing, music, sound, putting it all together. And I just want to create things that last a long time. I think if anything's true, it's that this digital medium that we create on, it is long lasting. Who knows who's going to be watching this video in 100 years, 150, 1,000 years? You just don't know. So I want to make more that will last for at least my lifetime. Memories, you know, vlogs, maybe tutorials, who knows? But I want to practice that skill more and move more into that realm. It's funny because in my notes, my last thing that I will be focusing on less this year is the numbers. And I feel like I've already mentioned that. But yeah, I'm not creating any sort of follower goal this year. I might have the same or heck, even less followers next year when I make this video, which I will be making at the end of 2023. But yeah, I can't get anyone to follow me. I'm so tired of being told, here's how to get more views and here's how to get more followers. That's not why I started doing this. It's not why I picked up a camera, and it's not why I have one in front of me right now. I'm doing it because I think we all have something to share, and I will just continue to share that message that you have something to share. You have a perspective, you have a personality, you have a life that you could share. And you have no idea how that could impact somebody else. I think that's so valuable. If you can believe that about yourself, I think you could do anything. Even if it's not content creation, it could encourage you, it could inspire you to do something, anything that might reach somebody else. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm here. So 2023, I have no clue what will be coming this year, whatever it is, but I'm excited and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep sharing. I think you should too. Thanks for watching.